So the next caller is calling about this. How do you talk to people who are only concerned about pragmatic concerns, such as efficacy? So I'm going to bring them up. What do you think, Zern? Does that adequately describe your question?
Yeah, and I guess I would add to that, and the argument after that would be like, is since you're, let's say, whatever you're proposing is not effective, doesn't that mean you should probably check your premise because for some reason it's not maybe adhering to reality?
Hmm.
Since nobody wants to like adopt it, or or rather, like even if you let's say even if it wasn't adopted and you go ahead and you managed to implement and it didn't work out the way you expected, it wasn't effective. It could still be right, but it's just not effective of doing anything.
Well, I'll go first. I don't find that convincing at face value, and maybe you can help steer me back into a direction where that's a bit more, where it is more convincing. But like, let's say, for example, you got to really be clear, I guess, when considering this, what the ends are. Because you can take math, for example, and say, 1 plus 1 is 2, just to take the most absolutely rudimentary example possible. Um, and you've got a desert island and you're trying to convince some people of something. Um, if I had enough time, I could probably come up with a hypothetical where, for some reason or another, um, insisting that 1 plus 1 equal 2, the people on the island that are there with you just have a problem with basic arithmetic, and they as long as you're insisting on that, they're gonna have a problem with you. Maybe they have some sort of like para consistent set of rules, that they won't they won't budge on. Um, so perhaps lying about 1 plus 1 equals 2 serves some social end to bring about, like, okay, but they'll all cooperate with me in building this house, and this house is, we're not going to use math to build it. We're just going to use brute force to build it. They just require that I can conceive of some kind of tortured hypothetical there. Um, and I guess what I'd be trying to do with such a hypothetical is to demonstrate that, in order to answer a question like that, you got to separate the truth of the claim versus, is the efficacy has to be contextual. And is the context in which that efficacy is that saying that the fundamental truth of the proposition is not there, that's an argument against the proposition, or does it just mean that, we've identified some sort of scenario where, um, denying the truth of the proposition is useful? I don't know. That's my face value, thoughts about that.
So let's take this 1 plus 1 equals 2 example. I think there's a culture that they actually don't actually count items and they don't know, they only look at items as a group of collection of things, not necessarily a numerical value. So to them, they can still function and do what they need to do to survive, produce, farm, etc., etc. Yet the 1 plus 1 equals 2 has no use to them, and it doesn't necessarily affect their life in any meaningful way, right?
I like, for the sake of a hypothetical, um, I can
This is like
concede.
a real example.
Yeah, I can see that happening. I guess, again, just sort of like, what I'm stuck on, and maybe I'm sticking on the wrong part of, what you said, was that, that might undermine the truthiness of the proposition itself, and that's where I'm sort of, a little less convinced.
Sorry, can you repeat that? My somebody called me and it like muted the audio.
No worries. So the part of your original question that I'm stuck on, that seems the least agreeable to me, is that, identifying such a hypothetical, if you were in that hypothetical, undermines the truthiness of the proposition. Um, and I don't know that I'm there yet. It seems to me like you've just found some context where denying the truth of the proposition is useful for some specific purpose, but not in a way that relates back to whether it's actually a true proposition. Um, I hope that that's not too like
I
philosophically opaque because I worry that we're going in that direction.
Yeah, I guess I understand. I guess I understand what you're saying. It's like there, I guess maybe there's like maybe a hidden argument that I'm making that I haven't really elucidated just yet. Um, it's possible that in the way that I worded it. I guess is it possible for me to ask maybe a different question that might be more
Sh-
regarding, let's say, this property question that was the previous caller was asking?
Sure, totally.
Yeah. I would say, like, for example, let's say if somebody were to sign a will to give you property, whatever it is, and you weren't aware of that will, and because you're not aware of that will, that doesn't make it right for the other person to say, well, he's not even aware of this inheritance, so I can just take it, right? You didn't agree to this inheritance. You don't even need to know about it. But since the other person has agreed to give this to you, even if you did sign that receipt in your raffle example, they acknowledge that you are the rightful owner of the gift. It doesn't matter if you need to acknowledge it since you're not the owner yet.
I'm gonna pass that one to Zulu because I've been doing a lot of the talking there. Unless he's finishing up his lasagna.
Only one little piece of garlic bread left. So yeah, yeah, it's still definitely destructive towards um, law and human flourishing. Um, to steal from people even if they don't know they've been stolen from. Um, that's still reducing the amount of things that they can do. That is still, destroying their livelihood. You're going to make them start making false premises based upon your deception, fundamentally. So yeah, we are definitely that's definitely still untoward. You can't. That's just basically the meaning of fraud. It's theft by deception. It's theft where they don't know that they've been stolen from.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm all good now.
Sweet. Feel free to follow up with that philosophical question too, if you feel like, because with those sorts of topics, it can be easy to get caught up in the weeds a little bit, the wording. But feel free to post about it in the text channel, and we'll follow up with you.
Will do. Thank you.